As lash artists, it's crucial to learn how to style a client's eye to ensure that they get the best look for their specific facial features. I'm giving everything away that I wish I had when I started. And if you already know this is the path for you, I do offer mentorship. It is linked below if you're interested in applying. When it comes to observing your client's eye shape, it's very important for you to pay attention to a lot of things. Not only are you paying attention to their physical eye shape, but you're also paying attention to their facial features and their body features. If they are a petite person, you want to choose smaller lanes because you don't want to overpower them. But if they're a little bit bigger, they have a little bit more of a bone structure, you can add a little bit more of length and it's not going to overpower their eyes. If they're kind of in between, they're not too big, they're not too small, they're just kind of in the center, then you can play around with different lanes and try different things. Maybe go in the middle. Remember, categorize things as small, medium, large. Literally the same thing for your clients. Is she petite? Is she more on the average? Or is she more on the bigger side? Figure that out. That's what you can also use to customize your client's lashes even better. Do you prefer a dramatic look or a more natural look? This is an important question to ask your client. This will determine the length, the curl, and the fullness you'll be selecting. If they say, I want something more natural, this automatically indicates you're going to use shorter to medium sizes. If they say, oh, I'm open to something more dramatic, more bold, more out there, this automatically means you can use anything in between the medium and larger sizes. You don't have to play it so safe. So understanding your client's preference and their daily lifestyle is key to ensuring your client has a good experience and comes back to you over and over. Well, based off of your facial features, I want to do something where your eyes, we open them up a little bit more because as I can see, your eyes are pretty almond-y, but they are downward because your eye comes down this way. And if I put anything longer out here, what that's going to do is just going to pull it down further. And we don't want that. We want to make your eyes look open, round, and awake. So in order to achieve a look like that, I'm going to ask you to please stare forward. And please don't move because as I'm marking my lines, if you move, my lines will come out crooked. Okay, so just stay forward, please. And perfect. So as I showed you guys earlier, we're going to draw our lines right where the color begins and where the color ends of her iris. So that is the center of my eye. I make sure and I look at both sides, making sure they're pretty even. Perfect. Now I look at the crease of her eye. This is the crease. You see where it ends? It ends right here. So because it comes down further down, I'm going to come up a little bit higher right here where it kind of starts to taper downward. And I'm going to put my other line right there. This is where my next size is going to go. And then I'll put my other line from this corner to this corner. This is where my last length is going to go. This is the length that we're going to use to help push it upward and avoid pulling it down. Same thing here. I'm going to draw a line from this white area all the way up and then another one from the corner like that. And those are my lines. Those are my mappings to ensure we have proper symmetry. Right here, same thing. I'm going to repeat the process. I'm going to look for the end of my crease. So I kind of see it starts tapering down right here. I'm going to draw my next line right up here and then my other one right here. So remember, this is the center of my eye, and these are my two other sizes that I'm going to add to help push the eye and make it look a little bit more awake and open. Repeat the same process right here. You see the inner corner, right where the eyeball ends. We're going to draw the next line. And then we're going to do another one right here at the corner of the eye. And it's going to be our other one. And that's how I would map my client standing up, facing her. We're talking about a doll eye, an open eye effect. We want to make sure her eyes look a little bit more awake because like I said, her eyes are coming downward. They're kind of roundish, a little bit of almond shaped, and we want to open them up and make them look a little bit more awake and just wider. Squinty eyes like this, when they're really tiny, really small, you can kind of add links all the way around. So for an eye shape like this, I would add links from here to here to really open this eye up. So a big open eye effect would be best for this. Overall, An open eye effect can be used for a lot of people, but our most common shapes are cat eye, open eye, natural swoop, reverse cat eye, and each can be achieved in different ways. When working with different lengths, you always want to make sure that you map your client out correctly. And I personally like to start my inner corners with 7mm. This is a 7mm, and it's a smaller lash. You want to place it mainly in the inner corner. This is going to help ensure that your inner corner is very emphasized and you can see them, because remember, inner corner lashes are on the smaller side, so you don't want to put too much of a heavy length. Imagine you put a 10mm in an inner corner. Look at that drastic difference. Let me show you. You see how much longer that is compared to a 7mm? Be mindful of what you're placing in your inner corner. So I highly recommend you to place a 7mm, which is this one right here, in inner corners, and then work your way up to adding a 10. So remember, we placed a 7 and a 10. Now I want to continue with adding different sizes. So we're going to place an 8 right next to it. And so you can compare and see how an 8 and a 7 looks next to a 10. So as you can see, the first one is a 7, and the longer one is a 10, and this one is an 8. Side tip, this is how you create wispy sets. I want to demonstrate how you can see the difference in sizes. Especially if you're working in an inner corner, you want to work with smaller sizes. You don't want them too big. Now let's say you're getting towards the middle of the eye, outer corner of the eye. You can add a little bit more of lengths. You can add lengths like, let's say, some 10s and 11s. Let's start with an 11. This is an 11, and this one, when you place it, you can put it a little bit closer to not the inner corner, but more towards the center of the eye. We don't want to add this to the inner corner. We can add this a little bit more towards the center or outer corner. Now let's add a 12, so you can see the difference in lengths. I'll also add a 13 all the way to 15, so you guys can see how each length is a slightly longer and different. And here at TRL, we use all the way up to a 16. Rarely do we use anything over that unless a client wants something really, really dramatic. But like I said, we don't do anything too long because our canvas is our lashes, our natural lashes, and we want to protect them. We want to take care of them. As you can see, the shorter the length, the more upward it goes, the longer it gets, the more weight it starts adding onto the natural lash. As you can see, this one right here is already kind of falling. That's because it's pretty long. Imagine you put that on a natural lash, it's gonna weigh it down.
If you're not quite ready for mentorship, no pressure. Just binge this whole playlist. Everything in this free course will give you a solid foundation. And whenever you're ready, the link to apply to my mentorship is down below in the description box.